Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Deebo Sturchio and Chris Gueci.
Here we go. Welcome everybody to the Mojo Market Report right here on a Tuesday. It is Dave Sturchio. It is Chris Gueci, A5. Anthony behind the glass here at Chop Studios. We hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys enjoyed Monday Night Football. We'll get into the game in a second, but I gotta start with this because it was topical, it was conversational, it was viral. I have to say that I did play a specific way last night. I went short on the fan that ran onto the field. Because my God.
Punished. Amidst the smoke bomb.
Bobby Wagner was not happy. He's like, you know what? I just want to play the game. Can we get this guy off the field? And he leveled him. And so if you went short on the fan, you cashed last night. So congratulations to the fan for being an absolute putz. But anyway, Monday Night Football comes and goes. Obviously, the 49ers, I said this to you in pre, you got to wonder if, like, McVay has, like, a dartboard at home with, like, Shanahan's face on it and just, like, just so
upset. And
like
Jimmy G off to the side.
Yeah, right. But he's just, like, almost like a
dartboard.
You ever see that meme where they have, like, the frame and he's, like, kind of like, I wish you were here? You know, maybe he wishes he was on the Jimmy.
Stafford throwing darts at Jimmy G.
Sidearm, right? Yeah, so obviously the 49ers absolutely have their number when it comes to, I think he's now 8-3 against McVay. So that's
7-0 in their last 7 regular seasons.
So that's just, I mean, right there. It's an incredible stat. Shanahan's one of the better coaches in the NFL. I know I don't want to get him started. One of the better ones. I didn't say best coaches in the NFL. I said one of the better ones. But last night, obviously, top movers is the big conversation if you're playing in the Mojo market. There was a lot of movement last night. If you're seeing this scroll on the bottom of your screen, there's also a lot of movement still lingering around from Sunday, so don't be alarmed. We all are aware that there was a game last night, and there was a couple guys that shot up the ranks, but there's also a couple guys that, based off injuries and different things like that suffered on Sunday. We'll get into that very, very later on. But first, we start off with the unfortunate Matt Stafford, who literally looked like he just could. I mean, he was
the former
lost.
member of
he
the
was
100 Club.
Move over a little bit.
former member of the 100 Club.
He was
now
getting too close, guys.
Out again.
Yeah. Oh, I know. So my question is this. Is Mojo going to give him like a graphic every time he re-enters?
I don't know. I think he's overstaying his welcome as far as like the coming and going and coming and going.
Right.
Just come on, bro. Get it together, Matt.
Yeah. Matt.
You can't keep doing this, bro.
Matt last night went 32 of 48. He threw one really bad interception. He
got away with a couple more really bad interceptions.
He did. And then he also got sacked 7 times, pressured 5 more. The Rams just were up in his face the entire time, and based off the market last night,
49ers were.
That's what I meant to say. The 49ers were up in his face the entire time, and based off of his market, again, yes, we said it already, he falls out of the 100 club. Now, here's the bigger issue, okay? It's not an issue per se. If you thought that, like, you know, you were going to take advantage of what Mojo was offering, which was 25 times multipliers on a guy like Matt Stafford, in which you should be doing this on the vets because of all the bank value that they have, and the volatility isn't really there, like a Tom Brady-esque where it's like, all right, we know what he's done. He's not going to do too much. I think he went up like 1/8% yesterday, Tom Brady I'm talking about the other day, and like if you don't have the multiplier on, what's it like really worth? So if you went in on Stafford with the multiplier, there is some risk involved, and this is the risk. So he has himself a really bad game.
One.
Yeah, well, yes, truth. So if you took Jimmy G, congratulations, he had a better game. But in this regard, this top mover is a bad one. Usually we start like, yay, everybody's making money.
Yeah, Matt Stafford threw the ball to Cooper Kupp 20 times yesterday.
20.
It was either 19 or 20, but 20 targets in a game. Cooper Kupp had his highest reception total in his career yesterday in a losing effort. They got to get other guys involved.
And I'll give you your due. I mean, you said that Higbee would be featured, and boy, oh boy, was he fed too. And look, Stafford overall, you know, he's got some bank value now. He's won himself a Super Bowl, right? So it's one of those guys that, like, I don't know if I'm even messing around with Stafford at this point of his career. Like, it's not really, and to be honest with you, it's not really safe either, considering the fact he's due for a pick 6 per 2 weeks.
With me and Stafford had a really bad run last year, and it was a 1-month stretch where they just got out-physicaled by every team, and it was started by the 49er game in San Francisco, and they went on as a terrible run. And Matthew Stafford had undisclosed injuries, dealing with a back issue, an elbow issue. The one thing I'll say about Stafford, he's a gamer, he's tough, but these injuries are starting to pile up, and there's always like every 3 to 6 months, there's a report that surfaces that Matthew Stafford is dealing with like
something
chronic issues.
Right.
And then a week later, you see him throw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But you got to imagine that eventually these injuries are going to come rearing their ugly head, and it's going to come tumbling down. I like Stafford. I'm not rooting for that, but it is a little alarming.
You know what's going to happen, right? Now we have a very angry Matt Stafford. As a Cowboy fan, that sounds like a plan for me.
You could look at it 2 ways. They had a really tough time dealing with the 49ers front seven. I anticipate them having a very tough time dealing with Dallas's as well. So
okay, that makes me happy. All right, moving on to somebody with some positivity. That's Deebo Samuel, ladies and gentlemen, who took a 4-yard slant pass and took it to the house call. 57-yard catch and run. This dude is a joystick. We're all very aware of what this guy can do.
He's a joystick, and then once you finally get to the point of contact, you want nothing to do with it. Deebo, you can't bring this guy down.
Did you see
shedding tackles in the open field like
and
it's between tackles?
No disrespect to Jalen Ramsey. But he wanted nothing to do with that. Zero to do with that. But look, Deebo Samuel yesterday showed out, 6 catches, 115 yards on 7 targets. So he's getting the ball in his hands. Also rushed 2 times for 2 yards, nothing there.
That yak, though.
Yes.
Yak.
I mean, between that and, that was the graphic I was talking about. I was talking to Chris in pre-show about how ESPN uses some awesome graphics and how they can go away like that. The graphic they used was, where's Deebo? Meaning, like, where is he on the field? That's what you do have to control. Like, you have to really take that into account. Like, every time this guy's lined up, you got to adjust accordingly because he's in the backfield, the slot, the Y, the X, the Y, the Z, the quarterback. He does everything. And this is the guy that you want to go very long on, because if he's just getting started now and the target share that he gets and the volume this guy gets every day, this is a guy I would go long on. I would throw multipliers on. The only thing that could possibly go wrong is an injury. Other than that, he's going to be there to stay.
Yeah, I worry a little bit because of his usage out of the backfield long term.
Sure,
I think that takes a little bit of the shine off. If he was just a true clear-cut receiver, I would be a little more in on Deebo. And I know that his running ability is kind of what gives him that extra boost above some of his other receivers, but it worries me a little bit, and I think that there's a lot of value at the top end, which we've gotten to in the past, like any of the 3, Jefferson, Jamar Chase,
right.
T. Higgins. I'm a little more in on those guys because of their lack of handoffs, really.
The lack of the need to be the every down back, really.
But Deebo, it is a fun guy to watch play, and having a little bit of an investment on Deebo is a cool thing because of the way he plays football, and that's what it's kind of about for me as well. I know Deebo is going to have a good career.
Right.
Barring catastrophic injury.
Right, and we don't want that to happen at all.
So yeah, buy on Deebo.
Buy on Deebo. Here's
just
one.
Not me.
Here's one that might actually, it could. How do I break this down? It's hard for me to get behind this because of the change of the guard all the time when the Shanahan ran offense, and they're showing that in Miami already too with a bunch of running backs. But last night, outside of Deebo's 2 carries, there wasn't, I think Juszczyk had 1, but like outside of that, Jeff Wilson Jr. had all the carries. He got 18 opportunities, 74 yards. He also had a 32-yard sprint job that literally shot out of a cannon. Jeff Wilson Jr. has been one of those guys that if you're a daily fantasy, or not even daily, season-long fan, he's been picked up a million times in the last 2 years, right? You're always kind of testing the waters with Jeff Wilson. This spike happens to be, again, personally, I'm not investing in a Jeff Wilson Jr., but if you're one of those short-term guys and you think that he's going to get the rock a lot while Elijah Mitchell is out, then maybe that's something you test.
Jeff Wilson, I think, is the equivalent of Elijah Mitchell. And he stays a little bit healthier. We'll see how he is carrying the full load. But in terms of a fantasy, we'll put this in perspective there. Jeff Wilson Jr. has delivered 3 straight RB2 numbers. And I know that that's not saying, oh, well, he's not blown. But yes, that is pretty solid for a guy that wasn't a starter coming into the league. Elijah Mitchell, the one thing I'll say about him is he gets hurt. And they needed Deebo down the stretch to play running back. Even when Elijah Mitchell gets back healthy, I think Jeff Wilson's going to be heavily involved in the offense.
Yeah.
He's had games in the past where he's come in and he's had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. So Jeff Wilson's proven he's at least talented enough to make it happen in the NFL. The running backs in San Francisco is always murky with Shanahan, but I think Jeff Wilson Jr. is kind of taking the lead right now, the very similar way that Elijah Mitchell did last year when they didn't know who was going to be the guy, and he kind of just stepped in and took over. Jeff Wilson Jr. is kind of doing a good job of Wally Pipping Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, to me, and Wally Pipp, for all you youngins out there, you're probably like, what? Go look it up. Google it. It's great. It's not great if you're Wally Pipp. But in regards to this guy, I think he's a complete change of pace back. I really do. Like, Eli Mitchell seems to be more of the, I'll look for contact, but I'll finesse you when I have to. Jeff Wilson, when he gets in the open field, man, it's no shifty. It's just go. You know, so that's the kind of guy that I like to watch.
I think a downhill runner in the NFL is going to get it done.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm with Jeff Wilson.
I am too. All right, so
small investment in Jeff Wilson.
That's Monday Night Football in a nutshell. And obviously, we have ourselves another week to look forward to, and we'll preview the Thursday night game when that comes around. But there are a couple things that we wanted to talk about today. More specifically, let's talk some wide receivers, right? Because we've been talking quarterbacks for a long time. We banged you over the head with Zach Wilson and all the quarterback movement, rightfully so, because it's all doing well. Same thing with the running backs. We talked about the top dogs last week. You know, Zeke losing his spot and then regaining and then losing it again. So we talked about positions as a whole. Today, I want to talk wide receivers because there is a lot of questions about the wide receivers, but there's also a big topical question that I want to bring up to Chris, who I know did a deep dive because we prepare for this show. So I know he did it, and I know it's a good one. But first, I want to talk and bring up one guy that is very alarming if you're a investor in this individual, and that's DJ Moore out of Carolina. Now, DJ Moore in 4 games has 13 catches. Like Cooper Kupp does that on a Monday. You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
Well, that's why I said it. But like this is alarming for me because he's got 29 targets, which is up there with Robbie Anderson. They added Laviska Shenault. Like they're adding talent around him.
Shenault is hurt.
No, but he played real well the other day. Yeah, he scored.
I thought he got hurt in that game though.
He possibly, but I know he's out there. But also in regards to that is the effect that you think is being done. Like McCaffrey has been banged up a little bit, but their offense could be humming. However, like a good neighbor, Baker's not there. Baker Mayfield's not playing very well.
He is there.
Did I just cross up the insurance companies?
I'm pretty sure you did.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It happens.
Of course.
So, yeah, Baker Mayfield is the sole reason why I'm out on DJ Moore. Sell. I love DJ Moore, the player, but the situation really, really scares me. I don't think DJ Moore is going to be as bad as he is for the entire season. Like, do you really imagine a world where DJ Moore is going to play a full year and have 40 catches as the wide receiver one? I don't see that happening. But you need to get it going soon because we're a quarter of the way through almost, and 13 catches, oof, that's rough. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I look at their backup quarterbacks. Do they even have a backup quarterback? I know both guys got hurt. Was it Matt Corral?
Well, Sam Darnold will be the next man up when he gets back.
Sam Darnold would have to get healthy.
Yet.
So
they're not they're not going to make a change.
It's not like you're looking at this situation where there's a backup quarterback that you could say, you know what, we have somebody that might be able to inject some life into this offense. It's Baker. That's it. And Matt Rule hasn't been doing a good job with Baker Mayfield. I know that's a stretch to say anyone.
Yeah, if you got stock in Matt Rule, which you can't get on Mojo, but if you do, sell that too, because he might be the first one to go if they don't turn this around, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I like Matt Rule, but he's just not getting it done.
And I personally like DJ Moore. But you know what? This is Mojo Market, and this is what we got to talk about on here. I'm out on DJ Moore. I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon. I feel like there's going to be a malcontent situation before it gets better. And I say that meaning he might want out. There's one thing I'll say about Baker. Receivers want out.
I did see some weird, and I don't want to credit it because it's not a credible source, but can you imagine a guy like DJ Moore getting moved to like a Kansas City, and playing with Mahomes?
I did read something like that.
There was some little whispers
and yes, I can imagine we will have a completely different conversation if DJ Moore is lining up in KC. I promise you that. With
Patrick Mahomes. All right, another guy that we want to talk about. That
wouldn't be fair.
It would not be fair. It would actually be... just give him the championship at this point. No. So next guy. So this guy is somebody that has done okay. I think he's a product of bad quarterback play for the back end of last year into this year, and we're talking about Deontay Johnson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, his targets, he's got most on the team. He's getting looked at. The problem is they're just not getting there. You know what I mean? Like, it's Mitch Trubisky. Last year was Big Ben. He's only got 23 catches on the year. He hasn't found the end zone yet. So now my question to you, Chris, is the transition into, which was announced yesterday, by the way, why everybody's Kenny Pickett stock went right through the roof. Not only did he get in the game, but Tomlin doubled down yesterday and said Kenny Pickett's the guy going forward.
Yes.
It's happened. It's done. If you're in on Kenny Pickett, stay there, hold, and just watch your stacks grow. But in regards to Deontay Johnson and receiver department, where do you see this guy? Do you see this guy showing his, once again, natural ability because of the fact that maybe there's a quarterback that can lace it in there?
I do think that there's potential for him to go up a little bit based on the switch. Deontay Johnson's been highly productive in terms of his receptions, and his usage, but his averages are not good. He does not. Last year in the last 8 games of the season, I think he averaged under 8 it was under 9 definitely, but possibly under 8 yards a reception. That's extremely low for a guy that
that's
gets the
also
ball
because
as
Big
much
Ben
as him.
couldn't throw the ball 7 yards.
Big Ben couldn't throw the ball 4 yards, and then Mitch Trubisky was more the same this year. Kenny Pickett, I think he's going to make a lot of mistakes, but there's a thing that's going to happen there is they'll be taking a little bit more risks because he has the ability to throw the ball downfield. He has the ability to scramble and throw the ball downfield at the same time. I don't know about the decision making just yet, like I said, but there's going to be splash plays. There's a little bit of cold water though, because I do think Pickens definitely eats into that target share a little bit because Pickett and Pickens, I feel like that's going to be the combo.
Say that 5 times fast.
I'm not.
Just
I'm
good
not.
luck.
I almost didn't successfully say it 1 time fast. So no, not 5 times. But yeah, Pickett and Pickens, I look for that
it's
combination to grow together. I think Deontay Johnson, he's too consistent to just not get targets. And because he works the underneath game, very, very good on third down. Deontay Johnson's going to be there to stay. I think he'll be a little bit better. The touchdowns should go up.
Okay.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 games in with none, but
the averages should go up, but the receptions may go down just a tad. But it's a fair exchange.
And look, Deontay Johnson is still young enough to not bank on his bank value. Like, this guy has upside,
and
a lot of
I will
upside.
say this: they just extended him, so there's plans to keep him in this situation for a couple years going forward. As that offense grows, Deontay Johnson's going to be a very big part of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Deontay Johnson's is a buy, but I'm not going huge on Deontay Johnson.
I'm in on everybody around Kenny Pickett right now, honestly. Like, the way you're describing Kenny Pickett reminds me of somebody that's obviously not favorable in the news right now, but a Brett Favre. Just like throw caution to the wind. Somebody's down there somewhere. We'll figure this out. Like, blindly, like put a blindfold on and then throw. So it's like, I agree with.
I commend the Steelers for making the move. It is very
un-Tomlin-like.
atypical of Mike Tomlin. He's usually like just vanilla,
because he knows.
But
he
the
feels
fan base needs it, and the offense has been struggling for 2 years now. It's time. It's time. If you're going to struggle anyway, you might as well struggle with a learning curve. That's my opinion.
Right.
We know what Mitch Trubisky is. Let's find out what Kenny Pickett's got.
All right. Well, those are the 2 receivers I wanted to bring up right off the rip, but there are a couple guys that I want to compare. More or less because I have questions, and we've been talking about obviously the quarterbacks, the running backs, the top upper echelon of those departments, the Tom Bradys, the Zeke and the Henrys, older individuals that have been doing work at the top of the Mojo market, right? Well, now I want to talk about 2 guys to compare them because of the fact that all of a sudden, the top dog in the wide receiver market on Mojo is a guy that's been playing for 2 years, and that's Justin Jefferson. Make it make sense because I see what obviously the top guys in the other departments are seasoned vets, are guys that have established themselves, are guys that have Super Bowl success, are guys that who have been doing it longer. All of a sudden, Justin Jefferson comes into the league, takes the league over by storm, one of the top receivers. How did this happen?
Okay, so there's a few layers to this one, and I'm going to do my best to break it all down for the people. So basically, Justin Jefferson doesn't have the banked value that Devontae has. So there's a lot more volatility. Justin Jefferson's market value right now is based on his banked value plus his market projections.
Which you can see on the screen right now.
Market projections for a young guy like Jefferson are extremely lofty. So he has a couple seasons that are really good, but there's a floor there that Davante Adams created that Justin Jefferson has not gotten to yet. So there's a lot more risk. If both players retired today, right? If both players retired today, Davante Adams' floor is much higher. His banked value, it couldn't drop. His market share price couldn't drop below his banked value. If Justin Jefferson retired today, his value would be $5. So there's extremely a lot more volatility. Now, Justin Jefferson's not going to go ahead and retire today. So you could kind of eliminate that risk. But there is the risk of injury. So for that reason is why you see Justin Jefferson a little bit higher. I would say running backs don't get future value projections because of the injury risk.
Okay.
And then you see a couple young guys that are kind of on this trend with quarterbacks where like Justin Herbert is third or fourth, where he's only in his third year as well.
Right.
So it's just that Tom Brady played for 41 years and he has 9,000 touchdowns.
It's funny that you bring up Justin Herbert. You know how like we went at length about the Dak Prescott contract? You know, when I said when he makes that money, he's going to reset the market. Are these guys resetting the market as they come into the league? Meaning, you know what I'm saying? Like Devontae Adams right now sitting there at 23.93, right? And Jefferson's been there for a cup of coffee in comparison, and he's resetting the market. So now every receiver coming forward that's like a Justin Jefferson is going to be highly touted right off the rip. No? I mean, that doesn't make sense?
Yes and no. If you go back, there's another graphic where you could compare their career arcs side by side. And if you see in the beginning,
Stairway to Heaven
Justin Jefferson was picked in the first round. So his entry market value is a little bit higher than Devontae's.
$3 higher.
Right? So, and then if you look in the beginning of Devontae's career on the graphic to the left, it takes a little bit of time, 2 seasons, before he could actually accumulate some real target shares. So Justin Jefferson right out of the gate started blowing up. I think he had over 100 targets in his rookie season. Devontae Adams, like I said, he entered a crowded receiving room fresh on the heels of a Super Bowl championship by Green Bay. And it was Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, Greg Jennings. Devontae had to work his way into the lineup where Justin Jefferson was wide receiver 1 immediately. So rookie season, you see what he did. He set records. That's going to get you accumulated bank value out of the gate, and it's going to set the projections on an astronomical level because year 1, it usually takes a little bit longer. It's just recently where these receivers started blowing up out of the gate, which we're going to get to a guy later. I can't wait to, but you have some interesting tidbits on their first 3 seasons.
Yeah, when I did this deeper dive on these 2 guys, like right now, for receptions alone, and I'm all about targets, and trust me when I tell you, if you want to look at the target shares, it took Devontae Adams until year 3 of his career to get over 100 targets, right? It took Justin Jefferson like 14 games. You know what I'm saying? Like it took him 1 year to get to get to that number. It took Devontae Adams 4 years to get to where Justin Jefferson is in 2 years and 4 games when it comes to receptions alone. And a little tidbit here, and it has to be talked about, is quarterback play. Devontae Adams played with one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen throw a football. And then you have Justin Jefferson dealing with Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins, like I said, when he flashes, it's fine, fine, serviceable. But imagine him with a Aaron Rodgers. Imagine him with a Patrick Mahomes, somebody that's going to make your career. And we saw it before on the whole career projections.
Packers were this close to drafting Justin Jefferson.
And so are the Eagles.
They traded
I will
up,
remind you that for the rest of your life.
And then Vikings took him when we took Jordan Love.
Jordan Love. Nice. Jordan Love hasn't seen the field.
Over T. Higgins.
Yeah. Good Lord. That's some unfortunate stuff. But anyway, it's a very good conversation to have. And now at this time, when I tell you to go invest in a Devontae Adams, right? It makes the most sense. You would never invest in Devontae Adams without
using a multiplier.
I mean, come on. At this point, because look, right now his volatility is not going to be like, yes, will he have games where he goes absolutely ham? 100%, right? But the movement might be a little bit less had you not have thrown a multiplier on. And just keep your eyes open to the Mojo Market because you're getting emails, you're getting tweets, you're getting all this stuff all over their socials that they're offering free stuff. So just keep your eyes peeled and your ears to the ground. This is a
perfect situation where you would exercise a multiplier because we got to talk about it at length because I want the people to understand. You could make money on the vets and you could have fun playing the vets. Take some of the volatility from the rookies and the younger guys and insert it into your Mojo portfolio with a Devontae Adams or an Aaron Rodgers because, well, maybe not Aaron Rodgers with those receivers, but definitely Devontae Adams, I would say, or the guys that already have established a bank value that you can't really, there's no floor, but if you want to increase that risk and have some more fun, then you use the multiplier. I've made money doing it. Dave's made money doing it.
Yes.
But it is a little risky, so.
Got new Jordans on today because of it.
There you go.
True story. Anyway. So before we get out of here, there are a couple of guys that now, because of, we're talking about the wide receivers department, right? And we're talking about guys like DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson. We're talking about Jefferson, guys that are, obviously the top 10 rankings that you can find on mojo.com. Dalton does a great job writing those dynasty rankings. Those are all justified, right? But there's a couple guys right now that within the next few weeks will be on the rise. So it's time to dive in to the bargain basement. And we're talking about a guy that you can't stop talking about. I feel like there's a little bit of I'm starting to get worried about it, to be honest with you. You're talking about Jameson Williams. way too much.
Oh, I'm going to hate him in like 3 weeks.
When he's Detroit,
Green Bay.
when him and Amon-Ra St. Brown are lining up, and you're like, crap, who do I cover? But this guy
Detroit
hasn't
done
potential.
much torching of Green Bay, so I'm okay with Jameson Williams for now. But yeah, the Detroit Lions still stink, guys. I hate to break it to everybody, but there is a situation going on in amongst the NFL fan bases right now where they're just like, Detroit's the darlings. They cover a lot. Well, not so much this year. They're 2-2.
They were favored twice. Go figure that one out.
Go figure that one out. So Detroit Lions, they kind of have the pulse of the league right now. Everybody's kind of in on them, and rightfully so offensively, but they cannot tackle anybody at all. They're still a 1-3
Come on,
football
Aaron Glenn,
team.
get your stuff together.
They're not biting kneecaps. They are not biting ankles. They are not tackling people. I think that Geno Smith just carved up the Lions defense for like 490 yards. They put up 50 points. 50 points.
48.
Now that's
48. They didn't bring no 50, Bart.
Fair point, Dave. 48 points. But the reason why I'm talking so much about the Lions defense right now is because they stink. And when a team stinks and they have a good offense, guess what you get?
You get a lot of that
You
garbage
get a
time.
lot of points. You get a lot of receptions. And I think that that's going to fare well for Jameson Williams. If you look at the Lions' schedule down the stretch, they're very favorable matchups for receivers. Very, very favorable. Trust me, I did a deep dive on that. And you expect them to take their time bringing him back, which is all good because we're patient over here at Mojo.
Oh,
at least I am.
The long game, baby.
I want them to be patient too because I'm in on the player, and patience is rewarded because we get better health. We want him to stay out as long as possible because when he does take this league, he's going to take it by storm. If there's a receiver, look at the talented receivers that are in this league right now that came in this year. Drake London. We're not even going to go through the names. You guys know them. Jameson Williams is the most talented one out of that bunch.
You think so?
Detroit traded up to acquire him with an ACL. Go figure. He's looking like he's going to be back definitely this year.
It's a very Detroit Lions thing to do, by the way.
It is. But
they draft the receivers like 9 years in a row in the first round.
There's a chance he would have been a top 3 pick if he didn't get hurt.
Huh?
Yeah, he's really, really good.
I can't wait until Mojo gives us the ability to start investing in some of these college players because
It's coming,
boy,
baby.
It's
coming.
right there.
NBA.
With the NBA.
Baseball.
Yes, it's all going to be there, and we're going to be here to cover it, and I can't wait
just
for
struck
that.
out, by the
He
way.
did
That
just
was
strike
not
out.
a home run.
He missed completely. That was Aaron Judge-esque right
But
there.
yeah, I'm
low and outside.
I cannot wait to see what this kid could do on the field. It's coming soon. I would say invest now because it is going to be a spike as soon as he
And put a
scores like his
multiplier on.
first 80-yard touchdown of the season. You're going to be like, man, I wish I listened to Chris on the Mojo Market Report.
There it is. There it is. So, obviously, that's the receivers. But before we get out of here, there are a couple, or at least one guy that you wanted to mention.
I do want to talk about one more guy.
Yeah, one more guy who does not fall in the receiver department because, we've been talking receivers long enough. But there's something that happened yesterday. The Atlanta Falcons put Cordarrelle Patterson on the IR for 4 weeks. That opens the door for opportunity, right?
There was a couple weeks ago, week 1 of the Mojo Market Report, I said, hey, Cordarrelle Patterson's on the wrong side of 30, and Atlanta Falcons are surprisingly running the crap out of the football right now at an alarmingly effective rate.
So proud of you for the self-censor on that one. I really
That's
am.
amazing. It's tough for me. So they're running the ball really effectively, and Cordarrelle Patterson had 2 monster games out of the first 3. And then last week he goes down with a knee, and Tyler Algier steps in and had a monster game as a fill-in. The Atlanta Falcons are running the football. They're playing smash mouth. Mariota's doing well enough as to where he's working the game plan. Their game plan is to run the ball. It's not going to change with Algier. We saw it last week. Got to be in on him. I labeled him in the bargain basement a couple weeks back. I said because of Cordarrelle Patterson being as old as he is, Tyler Algier might be a nice
You
stash
make
and
us
hold.
seem like fossils when you say like a 32-year-old guy.
Tyler
is old.
Algier was a nice stash and hold, and if you did so, it is paying dividends now because he is on the rise. We'll call it.
Yeah, and the opportunities are there.
To the moon,
We're
Tyler.
talking about targets when you get when you're a receiver. It's all about the bulk, and Atlanta is running the ball very effectively. You said something about their offensive line, right?
Their offensive line
Yeah,
is insanely effectively moving people out of the way.
Yeah, they're doing really well over there. So
Adjusted line yards is a big stat
And
for
to me, I'm like looking, the adjusted line yard. That's what I was trying to allude to. To me, I had the Falcons winning like 2 games this year. And while that still might be the case, like they might not win a lot of games, but they're putting up points. And in Mojo, on that market, it's all about volatility.
The Falcons are built for the second half, I think. If the typical
We talked
issue,
about Ritter for a little while yesterday. Maybe that change is coming.
That wouldn't be a good thing for the Falcons' season, but it might be good for Ritter's future. But I think
see.
that the Falcons, they're on their way, man. They're a good they have a lot of talent. They're going to have a hard time keeping all the offense together. Hopefully it catches up in time. But I like the Falcons, what they got going on offensive line-wise. Very, very good. I'm in on Tyler Algier this week, 100%.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Well, look, that's going to do it for another edition of the Mojo Market Report. You got to do us all a favor. Like this video. Share it with your friends. Tell everybody about the Mojo Market. Not just the report, the entire thing, because coming soon to a state near you, there has been plenty of people that have chimed in on my Twitter that are saying like, hey man, when? It's not a matter of like if, it's definitely a matter of when. So Mojo is working diligently behind the scenes to make sure that we're in more states after this and we reach more people and we get more people playing because boy, oh boy, and I say playing, but it is playing to a certain extent, but it's more or less investing. And I think a lot of people are making some safe decisions. And I think, you know what? If you want to go crazy, get crazy. Get crazy. But get crazy with multipliers because I'm telling you right now, if you want things to move every Sunday and you don't want to, like I told you yesterday, you know, I was paying attention more to my Mojo stock yesterday than or Sunday than I was the fantasy stuff, which is not a knock on fantasy. I'm just saying, like, this stuff moves. So keep your eye on it.
Yeah.
So that'll do that. Tomorrow, what I really want to do is go retro booming tomorrow.
Okay.
I want to go back in time. I want to show people. I want to compare some of today's stars with some of yesterday's stars.
He wants to show everyone how really overrated Troy Aikman was.
With that, for Dave Sturchio,
if it wasn't for those
Chris
Super Bowl bonuses,
you just tugged on the heartstrings there,
if
bro.
If it wasn't for those Super Bowl
do it.
bonuses, I wonder where Troy's stock would be.
I don't want to talk about it.
Those gifts.
He's one of the most accurate passers of all time.
Give me a break.
He is. I'm just saying. Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci from Chop Studios here. Mojo Market Report gets back here to do our thing tomorrow morning. We'll see you then.
See you, boys and girls.